Hello, everybody. Happy Independence Day to every single one of you. And today I've come live here without really making an announcement in advance. This is not a pre scheduled session. But today being Independence Day, I thought uh, it's, I really wanted to share something very important. Personal freedom is something that I've valued a lot, even from childhood. As a child, I remember when I was living with my parents, with my family, and there were a lot of restrictions. My parents have been very liberal, and they have really allowed me to do a lot of things as a child. At the same time, we were living in a state or a city or a place where people expected you to be a certain way and live a certain way. For example, I was expected to come back from school or come back home and reach home by a certain time. So I used to feel like, there were a lot of shackles and I wanted to get out of it. So I was waiting that I would become an adult so I could get out and run away, to a bigger city where I could live a life of freedom. And which I did. In fact, I took on my first job and went to Udaipur for my first job even before I turned 20. Right. So almost 20, I went to Udaipur, which was in those days, I'm talking about 98, 4 days away, 4 days travel from home. And ever since, I think since still about a year and a half ago, I have lived on my own, a life of so-called freedom. But it is only when I started living on my own I realized that freedom isn't easy. And what I thought was freedom was not necessarily the freedom, because I did get the freedom of not having to be being monitored, not having to be monitored by other people, not having to be answerable to family members. At the same time, I had a job, I was answerable to my workplace. I had friendships and I was answerable to my friends for various things. So I was answerable in various things. But most importantly, true freedom came with a lot of responsibility. That's one of the tough lessons I learned in the early parts of my adulthood, that freedom comes with responsibility. And responsibility, as Stephen Covey says, it is a combination of two words: responsibility, our ability to respond to situations. And one of the mistakes I made, and one of the mistakes I think a lot of us make, is that we don't use responsibility. We look at responsibility as something which is tough, which is burdensome, but it is not. Responsibility is actually an ability, right? When used in the right way, brings us freedom, the real freedom. The responsibility towards our relationships, the responsibility towards our business, our work, responsibility towards the public, responsibility towards the country, responsibility towards ourselves, right? Responsibility to manage our emotions. So there's a difference between responding and reacting. And the mistake that I was talking about is where most of us end up reacting to situations. And as long as we are reacting and not choosing a response, we cannot be free. So you can have all the so-called freedom, external freedom, where you are living life on your own terms, where you are living where nobody else is telling you what to do. And yet, if we don't take responsibility for our own thoughts, our own feelings, we are not going to be truly free. So the question I want to ask you today is, are you truly free? And if you are not, can we start taking responsibility today? And let me admit straight away that despite so many years of having the so called freedom, it has taken me many years to get to a point where I took true responsibility. Even today, I'm working on it in many areas of my life. Okay. But that itself is a journey. So, even in terms of getting the best out of yourself, being productive, fulfilling your true potential, okay, if you want to have that freedom of expressing yourself at your best, you have to take responsibility. Okay, so true freedom comes when you are able to follow routines and rituals. Most people think that, oh, if I have to follow routines, if I have to follow rituals, then where is the freedom? In fact, that is where the freedom is. Because when you follow routines and rituals, there is a certain predictability to your day. You are freeing up your conscious mind, because your subconscious mind takes over. And whether you like it or not, you have routines in your day. I did an entire session on morning routines. Right? So whether you like it or not, you have routines. So if you are choosing responsibility, then you will choose a routine rather than letting you be chosen by certain routines of, checking your phone or doing random things, or, just wasting your time, right? So choose responsibility, because with responsibility comes real freedom. Okay, so if you invest in your learning, if you become a lifelong learner, if you choose to take responsibility for your feelings, for your mind, the freedom that you get is worth all that you do. Okay, so once again, wishing you a happy Independence Day, wishing you all the freedom that you deserve so that your soul can truly soar. Thank you so much on this Independence Day. I'll see you again tomorrow. I'm planning to be live every day, but I'll declare it beforehand so you can join me. But thanks again and have a great day.